In 1 year from now, from this Sunday to be exact, Americans will go to the elections to choose a new president. And incredibly, it looks at this stage like being a contest between the same guys from last time. US President Joe Biden, now looking much older than his 80 years, and former US President Donald Trump, facing numerous court cases for alleged fraud and alleged attempt to steal the last election. Joining me is Rick Gates, who was deputy chair of Donald Trump's first and successful campaign to become president. Rick Gates, thank you so much for joining me. Is this really going to be the choice again for the world's most powerful country with just a year to go? I mean, the options are running out. Does look like Trump versus Biden.
Andrew, it's great to be with you again. Yes, as of now, it looks like we will have a Donald Trump-Joe Biden rematch in 2024. There are a number of pieces that are moving both on the Republican side and the Democratic side. The first major candidate in the Republican primary, Mike Pence, former vice president, has dropped out. We're also seeing nationally that Nikki Haley is starting to climb the ladder a bit and actually has surpassed Ron DeSantis in a number of key states. So she will be very interesting to watch. But it is clear on the Republican side right now that it is definitely Donald Trump and then a race for second, third, fourth place. And as we start moving closer to the primaries, we will see how that changes in the dynamic of the state by state politics. The Republicans have one more debate on November 8th. That'll be the last real opportunity that they can attempt to distinguish themselves from one another. I don't see any major surprises as of now. Most of the issues on the Republican side are still pretty clear. Economy and immigration are the two most important. On the Democratic side, there's been some very interesting developments. We have Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, that has been creating a shadow campaign just in case something happens to Joe Biden. But I think it's very important for people to understand this is not by accident. He definitely has the support of some very high-profile Democrats and the Democratic Party behind him. But he is not going to go out and say that he is running, to contest Joe Biden. He will wait to see if something happens to Joe Biden. Two other quick developments I think are very important. Over the weekend, Congressman Dean Phillips, he's a Democratic congressman from Minnesota, has actually filed paperwork to run against Joe Biden. And I don't think that'll amount to much, but it is clear that there are people in the Democratic Party that are very upset about Biden being the potential nominee. And then, of course, Robert Kennedy Jr. Is running as an independent, and that will certainly hurt Biden in the general election. It shouldn't hurt him very much in the primaries. So at this stage, yes, we have a Donald Trump-Joe Biden rematch.
Yes, America does not have preferential voting, so Robert Kennedy Jr. taking those votes away from Joe Biden, they don't come back to him, that's going to hurt him. Now, you keep saying something will happen to Joe Biden. Well, the something that people have been hoping for on the Democrat side is that he just quit. He should realize he's too old, he's too unpopular. He can't possibly be president for another 4 years the way he's deteriorating, but he still won't do it. And there's now only 1 year to go. There's almost no time, reasonable time for someone else to take over. Are there still pressures on him to make way for someone like there were a couple of months ago?
Yes, the pressures are still very much real, and they exist. There's two kind of dynamics happening. First of all, there's no president in the history of our country that has won with an approval rating of less than 40%. Joe Biden is hovering right at 38, 39%. So that is a key consideration that the Democrats are very much watching. And then when you say nothing has really happened, that's where I think you watch Gavin Newsom. Again, he is definitely has created a shadow campaign. He was in China last week meeting with President Xi and others. That is not by accident. There is definitely a movement within the Democratic Party to put in a potential placeholder. I suspect that Gavin Newsom will start filing paperwork just in case. And then the real issue is Hunter Biden. There is a lot of discussion that, given the weight of evidence, both against Hunter and Joe's brother, Jim Biden, that there may be some deal struck behind the scenes that takes Joe Biden out of it in return for not prosecuting his son or his brother. We'll have to see how that develops, but that is becoming a real discussion in Washington.
Well, how dirty is that, a deal like that? So I thought justice was blind, but apparently not when it comes to politics. What are the polls actually saying? If it does turn out to be, as is currently looking the most likely option, Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, who would win?
Yeah, right now, most of the polls show Donald Trump winning anywhere from 2 to 8 points. There are a number of dynamics on the side of Donald Trump, though. He's obviously embroiled in a number of legal issues. There is some very interesting polling within the Republican voters that if Donald Trump is convicted before the election, he will start seeing a dip in those numbers and support from Republican voters. If those legal cases are delayed, which is obviously the strategy to push those off until after the election, then he is fine. He will continue to surge in those polls. So I think it'll be interesting to again. I feel like we're in the Fast and the Furious movie franchise, and we're about the third movie in, and so we've got obviously a number of potential stunts and other high daring tricks that will happen in politics. But the investigation on Hunter is important because it is leading to an impeachment hearing on Biden, and that presents both risks and rewards to the Republican Party if they move forward with that impeachment inquiry.
Rick Gates, 8 years ago, you were there starting to sell Donald Trump as president in a campaign that was successful. The Donald Trump that you knew then, you were trying to sell America then, and the Donald Trump today, who's running again, what is the difference?
It's a great question, Andrew, and there's not much difference. He's still the same person that he is. And that was probably one of the most asked questions. What is Donald Trump like behind the scenes? There is no difference between behind the scenes and in front of public view. What you see is what you get. I think the major difference is that he has 4 years of being president under his belt. So I think if he's elected, you're going to see a much different President Donald Trump as a legislator, as somebody that navigates, what everybody has called the swamp of Washington, D.C. And I certainly think that he will attempt to bring justice, within the United States government for a lot of the problems that he saw during his first term. That is probably going to be the major difference if he is successful in his reelection.
Rick Gates, always terrific to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it.